I'm putting my new bearings on. Sorry for the background noise. It's hot and I got a big fan running in here. I made a little gauge. When I took the bearings off, I just locked two nuts together a certain distance from the head of this bolt, and I knew that that's and I took a picture of that because I knew it'd be a while before I had my parts. So I'm putting this back together the same way. Got to adjust this out and then tighten these set screws. Before I finish, we got a bearing. The seal is just rolling here. I'll glue that on with some silicone, but first I'm going to pack that bearing with some grease and roll it out here. Roll the wheel and pack that bearing with grease, and then I'll try to glue this seal back on there. I don't think it's going to stick if I just push it on. And that seal over on that side, I'll probably do the same thing, pop that seal off and try to pack that bearing with some grease. Because these are also specialized bearings that it's going to be hard to find, but they're not rotted out, so I think we get some grease in there, seal it up, it'll be all right. I also took a grinder and smoothed down where that was all wallered out from that bearing being totally destroyed, and smooth that down flat, both inside and outside, and getting ready to put this shaft back in there. Let's see if I can get that to line up and then bolt up in there good. I just put one bolt in there, get it started. There's a grease fitting on. I put that on the bottom because there's a hole here for an access on this cap that goes on there. It goes on this way on the bottom, so the grease fitting goes on the bottom. Got that part mounted. Can't tell if it runs smooth or not because it's going to be out of balance, but those things swinging around like that. But anyway, it's mounted, and now I'm putting the pulley on. Had to find a 5/16 open-end wrench to fit those set screws. I got room to put these set screws in on the outside, so I'm going to go ahead and put them on that way, I believe, and I hope it's going to work for me that way. Right now I'm tapping this keyway in. I got the keyways lined up and tapping that in. Get my pulleys lined up, make sure everything is looking good. I'll finish lining all of that up and then tighten these down. Got that belt in there, and that belt tightens up when you pull this handle back. It'll tighten up and put, well, the handle just fell off. I'll have to fix that now. Always something. Everything's got to be lubed up. That cable is old and I can see some rust in there. We'll grease that up and get that going. If you look in here, you'll see above my fingernail there's part of a slot there. This bolt is basically here to keep that belt from falling off the engine pulley. So that's adjustable. And when you cannot get the belt off, you just loosen that bolt from the back side, and or this one, either one, and then you put it back on when you're done, and make sure you got a little bit of a gap in there so your belt's not rubbing on that constantly. It might bump it now and then, but you don't want it rubbing on it. You just want it bumping it enough so the belt doesn't actually fall off the pulley. I'm going to put a little dab of this marine bearing grease. It's kind of water resistant. It's what you use on like boat trailer bearings. I'm going to put it on here and push it in there. I'm going to jack up this wheel a little bit so I can spin it, and then I'm just going to keep pushing it in there with my fingers and working it in all the way around until I think I've got enough grease in there, as much as I can get in there. Because these bearings are not regular bearings, they're kind of special order, and I'm not going to fight with trying to get those right now if I can get away with these. I can't hardly do this without getting in the way of the light. I'm trying, but yeah, I'm just finger full of bearing grease. I jacked the wheel up. Really, I just shoved an impact wrench underneath the bottom of the machine, and it holds the wheels up off the ground high enough. Just going to push that in there tight all the way around and then rotate it. I need two hands to do this, sorry. I got that greased up pretty good and I wiped the excess off. And I'm going to go ahead and try to pack this seal back in there. And if it'll stick for me, good. If it doesn't, even if it doesn't, I'm still going to clean the outside of all of this off with some brake cleaner and get it clean and dry. And then I'll just put a couple, 3 coats of silicone glue around the outside of that seal to make sure it doesn't just fall off of there again. Well, that went on pretty good. I just used this nut driver and I was tapping on the back of it with a wrench all the way around, and it's seated, the seal seated in there tight all the way around. It'll probably be good just like that, but I'm still going to clean that off with carb cleaner or brake cleaner, and then put some silicone on it to help. If it does come loose again, the rubber silicone will just hopefully keep it on there. I have this machine all back together and it would be ready to start up, except no gasoline in it, and I'm not going to put any in it until I go and check out this carburetor. So 10mm wrench here. I'm going to take this bottom bolt off. I already cracked it loose, and have a look inside there. Actually, I had it off just a minute ago and I saw some dirt inside of it, and I stuck it back on to get this on camera. There is some dirt in there, some crumbs. So you see, there's reason to not put gasoline in it as of yet. There's a lot of gunk, black gunk, all around this carburetor. There's a jet, an idle, or an air jet, I should say, an air bleed jet right here. And it's underneath this screw. I got to pop this thing off of there. So I'm going to go ahead, since this is pretty filthy, I'm going to go ahead and take this carburetor off. I'll take this cover. Sorry about the camera there. Looking at what I'm doing instead of looking at the camera. I'm going to take this thing off, and these 2 screws here, and take that cover off of there, and then there's 2 bolts holding the carburetor on. We'll get that off of there. Clean that thing up a little bit.